In the quietude of an ordinary morning, as the sun still hesitates to rise on the horizon, an ancestral truth echoes through time. We are beings of infinite abundance. This is not just a poetic statement, but a reality grounded in both ancient wisdom and the most recent discoveries of modern neuroscience. In every cell of our body, in every thought that crosses our mind, there is unlimited potential waiting to be awakened. Dr. Joe Dispenza, in his extensive research on neuroplasticity, has demonstrated how our thoughts literally sculpt our neural reality. When we observe nature, we find irrefutable evidence of this abundance. A single seed contains the potential for an entire forest. A single thought can start a revolution. A single word can change the course of a life. And it is about words, specifically 4 transformative words, that we will begin our journey of awakening. I'm already abundant now. This simple but powerful affirmation carries within it the code for a deep reprogramming of our reality. It is not just a catchphrase, but a neurological trigger that activates specific circuits in our brain, initiating a cascade of biochemical transformations that alter our perception and, consequently, our experience of reality. The HeartMath Institute revolutionized our understanding of the interaction between the heart and the brain, revealing that the heart's electromagnetic field is significantly more powerful than that of the brain. When we align our words with the heart's energetic frequency, we create a field of coherence that amplifies our ability to manifest. This is not a mystical process, but a measurable and replicable phenomenon. In our contemporary world, we are constantly bombarded by messages of scarcity. News, social media, and even casual conversations often reinforce a mindset of limitation. However, the true nature of the universe, as demonstrated by quantum physics, is one of infinite possibilities. Dr. Bruce Lipton, in his pioneering work, The Biology of Belief, demonstrates how our beliefs literally program our genetic expression. When we begin to understand the depth of this truth, we realize that abundance is not something to be conquered, but rather a natural state to be recognized and embodied. Each breath we take is an affirmation of this abundance. Air is always available, without the need for effort or struggle. Our very existence is a testimony to the generosity of the universe. Modern neuroscience presents us with an ever deeper understanding of the mechanisms through which our thoughts and words shape our reality. Dr. Jeffrey Schwartz, in his research on OCD, demonstrated how directed attention can literally reshape the brain. When we consistently focus on thoughts of abundance, we are actively creating new neural connections that support this reality. This journey of transformation begins with a simple recognition. You are already naturally abundant. Just as a seed contains all the potential of a majestic tree, you carry within you the seeds of all the abundance you wish to manifest. The process is not one of creation, but of revelation, removing the layers of conditioning that obscure your true nature. As we progress on this journey, you will discover that abundance is not just a financial state, but a way of being that permeates all areas of life. It is a state of fullness that manifests in deeper relationships, greater creativity, vibrant health, and a constant sense of connection to the flow of life. Understanding the neurological mechanisms behind mental transformation represents one of the most significant advances in the science of consciousness. In recent decades, researchers like Dr. Richard Davidson of the University of Wisconsin-Madison have meticulously documented how conscious mental practices can alter not only our subjective experience, but the very physical structure of the brain. When we pronounce the words, "I am already abundant now," we initiate a cascade of neurological events that transcend simple verbal communication. Dr. Daniel Amen, through studies with brain SPECT imaging, has demonstrated how different thought patterns activate distinct regions of the brain. Thoughts of abundance especially stimulate the prefrontal cortex, an area associated with long-term planning, conscious decision-making, and positive emotional regulation. The phenomenon of neuroplasticity, extensively studied by Dr. Norman Doidge, reveals that our brain is in a constant process of remodeling. Each thought, each word we repeat, each emotion we cultivate, leaves a physical mark on our neural structure, When we consciously practice affirmations of abundance, we are literally sculpting new neural pathways that support this expanded reality. The science of meditation offers valuable insights into how to optimize this transformation process. Studies conducted by Dr. Sara Lazar at Massachusetts General Hospital have demonstrated that regular meditation practitioners develop greater gray matter density in brain regions associated with self-awareness, compassion, and introspection. This neural strengthening creates a solid foundation to sustain new patterns of thought and behavior. The power of conscious repetition cannot be underestimated. Dr. Joe Dispenza, in his research on neurological change, emphasizes that consistency is more important than intensity. When we repeat our 4 transformative words with focused intention, we are activating what neuroscientists call long-term potentiation, the cellular mechanism that strengthens synaptic connections and consolidates new neural patterns. The integration between brain hemispheres plays a crucial role in this process. Dr. Ian McGilchrist, in his revolutionary work on brain laterality, explains how the balance between the analytical processing of the left hemisphere and the holistic perception of the right hemisphere is essential for deep and lasting transformation. Our abundance practice must engage both aspects, the logical precision of words and the emotional richness of lived experience. The role of the limbic system, our emotional brain, cannot be ignored in this process. Dr. Antonio Damasio, in his research on emotion and consciousness, has demonstrated how seemingly rational decisions are deeply influenced by our emotional states. By consciously cultivating positive emotions associated with abundance, we create an internal environment that supports and amplifies our verbal affirmations. The science of circadian rhythm also offers valuable insights for optimizing our practice. Dr. Sachin Panda, a pioneer in chronobiology research, has demonstrated how different brain functions are optimized at different times of the day. The period right after waking, when cortisol levels naturally rise, represents a unique window of opportunity for positive mental programming. The concept of neural priming, studied by Dr. John Bargh, reveals how subtle stimuli can profoundly influence our behavior and perception. When we create an environment that reflects and reinforces our intention of abundance, whether through visual symbols, sounds, or daily practices, we are constantly priming our brain to recognize and amplify opportunities aligned with this frequency. Social neuroscience, a pioneering field developed by Daniel Siegel, demonstrates how our brains are fundamentally shaped by our interactions. When we share our journey of abundance with others, we activate neural mirroring systems that strengthen our own positive programming while contributing to collective elevation. At the center of our physical existence, an extraordinary organ pulses in a constant rhythm, creating an energy field that extends far beyond the limits of our body. The heart, far from being just a mechanical pump, is a sophisticated center of intelligence and communication that plays a crucial role in our ability to manifest abundance. The pioneering research of the HeartMath Institute revolutionized our understanding of the heart's role in human consciousness. Dr. Rollin McCraty and his team demonstrated that the heart's electromagnetic field is approximately 5,000 times more powerful than that of the brain. This field is not just a metaphor, it is a measurable force that influences both our own physiology and the environment around us. When we pronounce the words, "I am already abundant now," with true emotional intention, something extraordinary happens in this cardiac field. Through advanced monitoring technologies, researchers have observed that positive emotional states, such as gratitude and love, produce harmonic and coherent patterns in heart rhythm. This state of cardiac coherence is not just a local phenomenon. It creates a field of resonance that can be detected several meters away. Dr. Paul Pearsall, in his revolutionary work on heart memory, documented fascinating cases of how the heart's energetic information can transcend conventional limitations of space and time. Heart transplant recipients often report inexplicable memories and preferences that were later discovered to belong to the donors, a phenomenon suggesting that the heart possesses its own form of intelligence and memory. The integration between heart and brain represents a fundamental aspect of this dynamic. The HeartMath Institute has identified specific neural and biochemical pathways through which the heart communicates directly with the brain, influencing our perception, cognition, and emotional states. When we achieve a state of cardiac coherence through conscious practices, we create an ideal internal environment for manifesting our deepest desires. The concept of the morphogenetic field, developed by Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, offers a theoretical framework for understanding how the cardiac field can influence material reality. Just as a magnetic field can organize iron particles into coherent patterns, the coherent cardiac field can organize events and circumstances in our life in a way that supports our intention of abundance. The practice of cardiac coherence involves more than simple breathing techniques. It is a way of consciously tuning the vibrational frequency of our being. When we combine our affirmation of abundance with the power of the cardiac field, we create a powerful manifestation field that operates on multiple levels of reality. Dr. David Hawkins, in his work on levels of consciousness, demonstrated how different emotional states correspond to different vibratory frequencies. States of abundance, gratitude, and unconditional love vibrate at much higher frequencies than states of fear, scarcity, or limitation. By consciously cultivating these elevated states through cardiac practice, we raise our personal frequency and, consequently, our manifestation capacity. The science of heart rate variability, HRV, offers a measurable window into this process. Researchers have discovered that a high level of HRV is associated not only with physical health, but also with emotional resilience and mental clarity. Through specific practices of cardiac coherence, we can increase our HRV and thus strengthen our ability to maintain elevated states of consciousness. The cardiac field also plays a crucial role in synchronizing biological rhythms throughout the body. Dr. Yoshiko Nakaoka demonstrated how the heart's electromagnetic field can influence even the behavior of isolated cells in the laboratory. This discovery suggests that when we maintain a coherent cardiac field, we are literally tuning every cell in our body to the frequency of abundance. At every moment of our existence, an intricate chemical dance occurs in our brain. Billions of neurons communicate through specific molecular messengers, creating the biochemical symphony we call consciousness. When we pronounce the words, I'm already abundant now, we initiate a cascade of neurochemical events that literally rewrite our experience of reality. Dr. Candace Pert, in her revolutionary work on the molecules of emotion, demonstrated how each thought and feeling has a specific biochemical signature. Her studies revealed that the receptors for these emotional molecules are not limited to the brain. They exist in every cell of the body. When we consciously cultivate positive emotional states associated with abundance, our entire body responds by producing a specific cocktail of neurotransmitters that reinforce this state. Dopamine, often called the reward molecule, plays a crucial role in this process. Dr. Robert Sapolsky, in his research on the neurobiology of behavior, demonstrated how dopamine not only rewards us for positive experiences, but also anticipates and motivates behaviors that lead to desired outcomes. When we practice our abundance affirmation regularly, we create a positive cycle where the very expectation of abundance releases dopamine, reinforcing our positive mental programming. Serotonin, another key neurotransmitter, is closely linked to our sense of well-being and satisfaction. Dr. Matthew Walker, in his studies on sleep and neuroplasticity, demonstrated how balanced levels of serotonin are essential for the consolidation of new memories and neural patterns. When we maintain a mental state of abundance, we naturally optimize our serotonin production, creating an ideal brain environment for positive transformation. Oxytocin, known as the love and connection hormone, also plays a fundamental role in the biochemistry of abundance. Dr. Sue Carter, a pioneer in oxytocin research, demonstrated how this neurotransmitter not only strengthens social bonds, but also increases our ability to trust and recognize opportunities. When we feel safe and connected, our brain naturally enters a more receptive state to abundance. The endocannabinoid system, extensively studied by Dr. Raphael McCoolum, represents another fascinating aspect of this molecular dance. This system regulates not only our mood and perception, but also our ability to experience pleasure and satisfaction. Practices that naturally activate this system, such as meditation, physical exercise, and conscious breathing, can significantly amplify the effects of our positive mental programming. Endorphins, our natural opioids, are released not only during physical exercise but also in moments of conscious expansion and personal realization. Dr. Bruce Lipton demonstrated how these molecules can alter gene expression, creating lasting changes in our biology. When we align our physical practices with our mental programming for abundance, we create a powerful synergy that accelerates our transformation. The balance between the sympathetic, fight or flight, and parasympathetic, rest and digest nervous systems is crucial for maintaining a biochemical state favorable to abundance. Dr. Stephen Porges, through his polyvagal theory, demonstrated how we can consciously influence this balance through specific breathing practices and vocalizations. The very pronunciation of our power words can activate the parasympathetic system, creating an ideal physiological state for manifestation. Norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter associated with attention and alertness, also plays an important role. Dr. Michael Posner, in his research on attention and consciousness, demonstrated how optimized levels of norepinephrine are essential for maintaining the focus necessary for conscious transformation. Our abundance practice should include moments of focused attention that adequately activate this system. GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, the brain's main inhibitory neurotransmitter, is essential for moderating anxiety and creating a state of calm alertness. Dr. Catherine Pittman demonstrated how contemplative practices can naturally increase GABA levels, creating an ideal mental state for receiving and integrating new thought patterns. Acetylcholine, crucial for learning and memory, is another important player in this molecular symphony. Dr. Michael Merzenich, a pioneer in neuroplasticity, demonstrated how this neurotransmitter is essential for forming new neural connections. When we practice our abundance affirmation in states of conscious presence, we naturally optimize acetylcholine production, facilitating the consolidation of new mental patterns. The epigenetics revolution has fundamentally transformed our understanding of the role of genes in our lives. Far from being an immutable destiny, our genes respond dynamically to our thoughts, emotions, and environment. Dr. Bruce Lipton, a pioneer in this field, demonstrated through extensive research how our beliefs and perceptions literally turn different genes on and off, profoundly influencing our biological expression. When we pronounce the words, "I am already abundant now," with true conviction, we are not just altering our thoughts. We are initiating a cascade of molecular changes that affect the very expression of our DNA. Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn, Nobel Prize winner for her work with telomeres, demonstrated how positive mental states can influence even the structures that protect our chromosomes, literally altering the speed at which our cells age. The cellular environment, or biological terrain as researchers call it, plays a crucial role in this process. Dr. Claude Bernard, father of modern medicine, already stated that the terrain is everything, the microbe is nothing. In contemporary terms, this means that the environment in which our cells exist, determined by our thoughts, emotions, and choices, is more important than our genetic inheritance. Dr. Masaru Emoto's research on the influence of words and intentions on the molecular structure of water offers fascinating insights into how our thoughts can affect physical matter. Considering that our body is composed mostly of water, the implications are profound. Each positive affirmation we make may be literally restructuring the water in our cells, creating more harmonious and coherent patterns. The concept of cellular memory, extensively studied by Dr. Candice Pert, reveals how each cell in our body maintains a record of our emotional and mental experiences. Through specific receptors on their membranes, cells are constantly listening to our thoughts and feelings, adapting their function accordingly. When we consistently maintain a mental state of abundance, we are reprogramming cellular memory throughout our organism. Epigenetic plasticity, a term coined by Dr. Michael Meany, refers to the ability of our environment to influence gene expression without altering the DNA sequence. His revolutionary studies demonstrated how even early experiences of maternal care can permanently alter gene expression, affecting how we respond to stress throughout life. This discovery suggests that through conscious practices of self-care and positive self-perception, we can reprogram even deeply rooted patterns. The emerging field of psychoneuroendocrinoimmunology, studied by researchers such as Dr. Robert Ada, demonstrates how our thoughts and emotions directly influence our immune system. Mental states of abundance and well-being stimulate the production of immune cells and anti-inflammatory molecules, creating an ideal biological environment for health and vitality. Cellular chronobiology, studied by Dr. Sachin Panda, reveals how each cell in our body has its own molecular clock. When we align our abundance practices with these natural rhythms, for example, practicing our affirmations at specific times of the day, we can maximize their impact on gene expression. The concept of morphogenetic fields, developed by Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, offers a theoretical model for understanding how thought patterns can propagate through entire populations of cells. When a critical number of cells adopt a new pattern of functioning, a morphic resonance occurs that facilitates the adoption of this same pattern by other cells. Research on energy signatures, conducted by Dr. Fritz Albert Popp, demonstrated how each cell emits a specific pattern of biophotons, ultra-weak light that seems to carry biological information. Elevated mental states appear to increase the coherence of this light emission, suggesting a physical mechanism for the transmission of positive information throughout the body. Dr. Gerald Pollack's work on the fourth phase of water, a special state of water found in living cells, reveals how the energy of our thoughts can alter the molecular structure of cellular water, profoundly affecting biological functioning. This discovery offers a physical mechanism for understanding how our conscious intentions can influence cellular biology. The profound transformation of consciousness does not happen by chance. It emerges from a consistent and structured practice that honors the natural rhythms of body, mind, and spirit. Ritual, far from being a mere mechanical repetition of actions, is a sacred form of conscious programming that aligns all dimensions of our being with the frequency of abundance. Dr. Andrew Huberman, a Stanford neuroscientist, through his research on circadian rhythms and neuroplasticity, demonstrated how different times of the day offer unique windows of opportunity for mental reprogramming. The period immediately after waking, known as the golden hour, presents a unique combination of neurotransmitters and brain states that maximize our ability to create new neural patterns. The structuring of the daily ritual begins with what ancient Zen masters called the mind of the first moment. In the first instance after waking, before the habitual mental dialogue establishes itself, there is a natural clarity of consciousness. Dr. Richard Davidson, through studies with experienced meditators, demonstrated how this state of pure consciousness is associated with specific patterns of brain activity that facilitate mental reprogramming. The morning practice begins with a moment of conscious silence. Dr. Sarah Lazar from Harvard Medical School documented how just a few minutes of silent presence can increase gray matter density in brain regions associated with self-awareness and emotional regulation. During this silence, we allow our consciousness to naturally settle into its inherent state of fullness. Conscious breathing forms the energetic basis of the ritual. Dr. Stephen Porges, through his polyvagal theory, demonstrated how specific breathing patterns can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, creating an ideal physiological state for transformation. The technique of coherent breathing, developed by the HeartMath Institute, synchronizes heart and respiratory rhythms at a frequency that maximizes psychophysiological coherence. The vocalization of the words, "I am already abundant now," is not a simple repetition. It is a multidimensional practice that engages body, mind, and spirit. Dr. Alfred Tomatis, a pioneer in research on the neurological impact of sound, demonstrated how different vocal frequencies can stimulate distinct brain regions. The conscious pronunciation of each syllable, with attention to its vibration in the body, creates a field of resonance that amplifies the intention. Conscious movement integrates the physical dimension of the ritual. Dr. Moshe Feldenkrais developed a deep understanding of how movement patterns influence our self-awareness and capacity for change. Through gentle and attentive movements, aligned with our abundance affirmation, we create new neuromotor connections that support our transformation. Creative visualization, extensively studied by Dr. Gerald Epstein, activates the same neural networks as real experience. When we vividly visualize our state of abundance, engaging all senses, our brain responds as if the experience were real, strengthening the neural connections associated with this state. The ritual also includes a contemplative dimension that transcends mere technique. Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, through his work with mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, demonstrated how the quality of attention we bring to our practice is more important than the quantity of time dedicated. Each moment of the ritual is an opportunity for cultivating full presence. The integration of the ritual with the natural circadian cycle is crucial. Dr. Sachin Panda, a pioneer in chronobiology research, demonstrated how different body systems have their own optimal rhythms of functioning. Aligning our practices with these natural rhythms, for example, performing more energetic practices in the morning and contemplative ones in the evening, maximizes their transformative impact. The social dimension of the ritual cannot be neglected. Dr. James Cone, through his research on social regulation of emotions, demonstrated how the presence of others can significantly amplify the impact of transformative practices. Creating or joining a community of practitioners can greatly strengthen our journey of abundance. The creative aspect of the ritual is essential for its sustainability. Dr. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, in his studies on flow states, demonstrated how creative engagement can generate altered states of consciousness highly conducive to transformation. Personalizing aspects of the ritual to resonate with our unique expression keeps the practice alive and meaningful. True transformation is not an isolated event, but an ongoing process of inner alchemy that permeates all dimensions of existence. Just as ancient alchemists sought to transform base metals into gold, our journey of abundance involves the conscious transmutation of limiting patterns into elevated states of consciousness. This alchemy, however, is not an abstract mystical process. It is a practical science grounded in verifiable and sustainable principles. Dr. Daniel Siegel, a pioneer in the field of interpersonal neurobiology, introduced the concept of neural integration, the process by which different parts of the brain learn to work in harmony. This integration does not happen only at the neurological level, but extends to all areas of our life. When we practice our abundance affirmation consistently, we create new bridges not only between brain regions, but between different aspects of our experience. The sustainability of this transformation fundamentally depends on what Dr. Rick Hanson calls self-directed neuroplasticity. In his studies on the science of happiness, Hanson demonstrated how we can consciously cultivate positive mental states in a way that they become permanent character traits. It's not just about repeating affirmations, but creating an internal ecosystem that naturally supports and amplifies our abundance frequency. The concept of psychological capital, developed by Dr. Barbara Fredrickson, offers a useful model for understanding how positive internal resources can be cultivated and accumulated over time. Her broaden and build theory demonstrates how positive emotions not only momentarily expand our consciousness, but also build lasting resources for the future. The social dimension of sustainable transformation cannot be underestimated. Dr. John Cacioppo, in his research on social neuroscience, demonstrated how our brain is fundamentally shaped by our connections with others. Creating a support community, or social morphogenetic field, as Dr. Rupert Sheldrake calls it, significantly amplifies the power of our individual practice. The role of conscious nutrition in the sustainability of transformation is crucial. Dr. David Perlmutter, a neurologist and microbiome researcher, demonstrated how our diet directly influences our ability to maintain elevated states of consciousness. Abundance must be cultivated not only in our thoughts, but also in how we nourish our body temple. The integration of conscious movement in daily life represents another fundamental pillar. Dr. Candice Pert demonstrated how emotions and memories are stored not only in the brain but throughout body tissue. Through practices such as yoga, tai chi, or conscious dance, we can release energy blockages and reinforce our abundance programming at the cellular level. The concept of nonlinear time, explored by quantum physicist Amit Goswami, offers valuable insights into the sustainability of transformation. When we understand that change can happen instantly in the quantum now, we release the need for struggle and effort, allowing for a more organic and sustainable transformation. The alchemy of sustainable abundance also involves what Dr. Carl Jung called individuation, the process of integrating conscious and unconscious aspects of the psyche. Through practices such as reflective journaling, dream work, and active contemplation, we can gradually integrate and transcend shadow patterns that may sabotage our abundance. The role of conscious service in the sustainability of transformation cannot be ignored. Dr. Martin Seligman, father of positive psychology, demonstrated how engagement in causes greater than ourselves is essential for lasting well-being. Our personal abundance becomes truly sustainable when we put it in service of the greater good. Creating meaningful rituals to mark and celebrate our journey is another crucial aspect. Anthropologist Angeles Ariane documented how traditional cultures use rituals to anchor important transformations. Creating our own milestones and celebrations helps to consolidate and sustain our new vibrational frequency. Cultivating what Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh calls interbeing, the deep understanding of our interconnection with all life, provides a solid philosophical foundation for sustainable abundance. When we recognize that our individual prosperity is inseparable from collective well-being, our practice gains a deeper and more lasting dimension. At the apex of our journey, we arrive at a profound and transformative understanding. Individual abundance is inseparable from collective abundance. The quantum field, studied by physicists such as Dr. Amit Goswami and Dr. John Hagelin, reveals that we are all interconnected in an indivisible fabric of consciousness. When an individual raises their vibrational frequency through conscious practice, the entire field is affected. This understanding is supported by revolutionary discoveries in the field of quantum physics. The phenomenon of quantum entanglement, which Einstein called spooky action at a distance, demonstrates how particles that once interacted remain connected regardless of physical distance. Similarly, each individual act of conscious transformation creates waves of influence that extend far beyond our immediate perception. Dr. David Hawkins, in his pioneering work on levels of consciousness, demonstrated through extensive research how a small number of individuals vibrating at elevated frequencies can raise the consciousness of entire communities. His studies suggest that a single person consistently maintaining a high-frequency field can compensate for the negative energy of thousands of people operating at lower frequencies. The theory of morphogenetic fields, developed by Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, offers a scientific model for understanding how patterns of consciousness can propagate through entire populations. Just as crystals in a supersaturated solution can catalyze crystallization throughout the solution, individuals consistently maintaining elevated states of consciousness can catalyze similar transformations on a global scale. The concept of morphic resonance suggests that the more people align with the frequency of abundance, the easier it becomes for others to do the same. Dr. Ervin Laszlo, in his research on the consciousness of the Akashic field, demonstrates how transformative information can be accessed and transmitted through what he calls the cosmic information field. Social neuroscience, a pioneering field developed by Matthew Lieberman, reveals how our brains are fundamentally shaped by our social interactions. When we gather in intentional communities focused on elevating consciousness, we create resonant, neural fields that amplify our collective manifestation capacity. The HeartMath Institute's work on global coherence demonstrates how groups of people maintaining states of cardiac coherence can influence measurements of Earth's magnetic fields. These studies suggest that our individual practice of abundance contributes to a greater planetary harmonization than we can imagine. The concept of emergence, studied by complexity scientists like Stuart Kaufman, offers insights into how individual transformations can lead to quantum leaps in collective consciousness. Just as water molecules suddenly organize into ice, crystals, human consciousness can experience sudden reorganizations when a critical number of individuals achieve elevated states of coherence. Social epigenetics, an emerging field studied by Dr. Moshe Sif, reveals how changes in social behaviors can alter gene expression at population levels. This suggests that by consistently maintaining elevated states of consciousness, we can positively influence even the collective biology of humanity. The role of technology in amplifying this collective transformation cannot be ignored. Dr. Nassim Haramein, in his work on unified physics, suggests that the Internet can function as a planetary nervous system, facilitating the synchronization of consciousnesses on a global scale. With the ancestral wisdom of indigenous peoples, studied by anthropologists like Wade Davis, has always recognized the fundamental interconnection of all life. Their practices of cultivating abundance have always included the understanding that individual well-being is inseparable from the well-being of the community and the planet. As more people awaken to this deeper understanding of abundance, we observe the emergence of a new economic and social paradigm. Systems based on cooperation, sustainability, and collective well-being naturally emerge when a critical number of people align with higher frequencies of consciousness. This is the true power of the 4 words, "I am already abundant now." They are not just a personal affirmation, but an activation code for planetary transformation. Each time we practice with true intention, we are contributing to a change that transcends our individual understanding. The invitation now is to recognize the transformative power of our individual practice in the larger context of collective evolution. We are not only transforming our own lives, we are actively participating in the co-creation of a new planetary reality based on conscious abundance. This understanding leads us to a new dimension of responsibility and possibility. Our daily practice becomes a form of service to humanity and the planet. Each moment of alignment with the frequency of abundance is a contribution to the collective field of transformation. And so, we conclude this journey with an invitation. May each of us assume our role as a catalyst for collective abundance. May our individual practices become seeds of planetary transformation. For truly, when we declare, "I am already abundant now," we are affirming not only our individual reality, but actively participating in the co-creation of a future of shared abundance for all humanity.